So first of all, I want to thank you guys for giving my last video so much love. I don't think I've ever received that many views and likes in such a short amount of time on any of my previous videos. You guys are awesome. Thank you. So Squad Playtest 7 just concluded. In my opinion, this has been the best playtest thus far. This playtest included every faction that is currently in the live game. In my opinion, I think this has been hands down the best playtest so far for Squad. I also heard similar things from other fellow Squad players. I want to quickly share some feedback with you guys that I've already shared with OWI via the end of playtest survey, as well as quickly talk about the Sanction Islands experience. Okay, so here are some things I want to quickly touch on when it comes to blur. I think it's a bit overused in the 7th playtest, especially the duration of blur that lingers long after suppression fire is ended. I feel like it lingers far too long, maybe 8 or 10 seconds after the suppression fire is ended, which is just a little annoying to deal with. The next area where excessive blur is used is when I'm aiming down sights. I'm using 100 FOV on my 1440p monitor, so what I'm left with is 80% of my screen is just complete blur, which is very distracting even when trying to focus on what I'm aiming at in the middle of my optic. I used to think it serves its purpose, but honestly, now I think it should outright be removed. And while on the topic of optics, the majority of optics in playtest 7 were pretty good, but there are a few of them I wish worked just a little bit differently. For example, optics that come right up to the eye, such as the British Armed Forces SUSAT and the Regular Militia Forces 1P29. Now I get that this is how these optics function, but I just wish I wasn't lubricating the lens of the optic with my eyeball. It would be great if they were just a touch further away from the eye. I feel like that would make them feel a lot more similar to the PLA's YMA 600, which I feel appears to be a good distance from the eye. The next thing I have to say about optics is that the PU on the SKS, the scope on the British L129A1, and the same one on the Australians HK417 are far too small. They need a slight increase in diameter, especially the PU scope for the SKS, as it feels like it only takes up 10% of my screen, while the remaining 90% is just blur. That being said, the rest of the optics I really loved, especially the British LDS or LCAN for the LED5A2s. That right now sits at the perfect distance down the rifle from your eye. The YMA 600 for the PLA was also a treat to use, except that currently it looks like the outer diameter of the scope is melting, which I'm sure will be fixed by the next playtest. Even the optic on the PLA's QB88 was excellent in the base game. This is a marksman kit that I would not touch because of how terrible it was, but now it's really great. Suppression. The suppression effect is in a really good place right now. I wouldn't change anything outside of what I said earlier about the blur effect lasting a little too long after suppressive fire is ended. Sanction Islands. This has to be the most beautiful map that OWI has ever made after Harju, or Harju. It was vibrant, had plenty of vegetation and even undergrowth. All around a lovely map to look at. I think the main playstyle of island hopping is a great idea. I'm glad they didn't force us to use only boats or amphibious vehicles to get from island to island. And they included a fair amount of land bridges for drylanders to get around. The map was in an incomplete state, which OWI made us aware of on their Discord before the playtest started. Now let's talk about the giant elephant in the playtest, the MEA. So the G3 right now is not in the best state. It's not terrible, but it's unnecessarily difficult to use. I didn't use it much in the playtest, but I interacted with a number of people using the G3 over the course of a few games. Right now, it feels like the most over-gassed weapon in the game. It's like the gas setting is cranked to adversary. To fix this and make it more on par with other weapons in the game is to either dial back the gas setting of the weapon or completely swap it for the 5.56 variant, the Heckler and Koch 33. With the exception of its caliber, the weapon is virtually identical to the G3. The HK51 that the hat kits use can be swapped for the HK MP5. I heard a few people make this suggestion, including Honcho from Honcho, which I think is a great idea for MEA, because even in the base game, the G3 is wildly unpopular. Okay, so those are my thoughts and feedback on the 7th Infantry Combat Overhaul test. Let me know your own thoughts and ideas for the ICO down in the comments. Also, be sure to remember to fill out OWI's feedback survey. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe so I can interact with you guys some more. Stay safe, and I'll see you in game.
How are you not dead? I have no idea!